This video is brought to you by me. For $1 a month, you can support the channel directly and help me keep doing what I love. Thanks for watching and supporting. After leaving off on an explosive cliffhanger, Saints Row 1 left us with many different questions about the 3rd Street Saints. Why was Julius, our leader, overlooking the explosion of the boat that he was supposed to be on? Was Troy working for the police the whole time? And most importantly, what happened to us, the lowly recruit turned lieutenant for the Saints, who seemingly met a fiery end? 5 years have passed since the events of the first game. Stillwater has seen monumental growth in just a few years thanks to a new corporation in town, Ultor, run mainly by the shiny and slick Dane Vogel. Despite being blown up on the same boat as you, Alderman Richard Hughes' plan to use the Saints as a scapegoat has been co-opted by Ultor, creating an economic boom for the city. The church the Saints used to call home has been reclaimed by the city and turned into a museum to remember the bad old days by. You have been in a coma behind bars since being plucked off the boat, and your face must be reconstructed. Also, the explosion must have kicked your vocal cords into gear since the silent protagonist now does not stop talking. Carlos, the brother of one of the former Saints members, gets stabbed in order to get next to you in the infirmary, hatching a plan that will break you both out of jail. After getting off the rock that holds the prison, you can see Stillwater in all its neon jungle glory. It really sinks in how much everything has changed in the half a decade you've been out of it. 3 new gangs have taken over, and the Saints appear to be part of a bygone era of total control. With you indisposed, Julius leaving, Troy becoming police chief, and Dex selling out to join Ultor, there is no one left to carry the torch. This is why Carlos broke you out. He wants to be part of a gang that ran the city, and he believes in you to rebuild more than even you do at first. But in order to return to the Saints' glory days, you have to start with the only other person still representing, Johnny Gat. Most of the team that worked on Saints Row 1 returned for 2. Volition wanted to build on the success of the first game while leaning into its own brand of open-world chaos. While the first game was heavily compared to the Grand Theft Auto games before it, Grand Theft Auto 4 was taking a more serious tone, leaving the open-world genre with the need for something loud and bombastic. This is where Saints Row 2 comes in. The first game was already balancing outlandish humor and serious moments. The sequel cranks up both sliders dramatically. It's simultaneously hilarious and brutal, and it goes back and forth whenever it wants effortlessly. Returning from the first game is the respect system, meaning in order to unlock the ability to continue the gang storylines, you need to take part in activities or challenges with multiple levels. There are the familiar favorites from the original like Mayhem and Insurance Fraud, and a reworked Demolition Derby that doesn't suck. But some of the best activities in the series started appearing here. The fuzz involves being followed around by a camera crew while they film you to get footage for their TV show, which is a spoof on cops. You'll be using lethal force to clean up the streets from litterers and ending domestic disputes. A fight club has formed in Stillwater, and to win money, you enter the octagon. If you're the last one standing, you move on to the next round. This goes along with a newly overhauled and fleshed out melee system where you can hit combos to do damage to enemies. Property values have gotten too high since Stillwater's financial boom, so real estate agents hire you to lower values citywide in this activity called Septic Avenger. You hop in a waste disposal truck and spew the contents of your septic tank all over the neighborhood. So now we have enough respect saved up, back to saving Gat. Time is not on your side. As soon as you get out of jail and return to civilization, you see Gat's trial unfolding on TV. He's about to be sentenced to execution, and now you have to stop that from happening. Gat's snarkiness and bickering with the judge earns him just enough time to survive while you tear across the city to the courthouse.
Mr. Gat, you've been convicted of over 300 murders. Do you really expect this appeal to work?
I figure with the statute of limitations, it really should be closer to 250.
There's no statute of limitations for murder.
Why the fuck not?
In order to save him, you mow down everyone in the way, emphasizing how powerful weapons feel in this game, even more so than in the first one. Colors are more vibrant, meaning the red mist of blood splatter is more pronounced. The weapon noises are amped up and loud, the impact of bullets creates unsettling sounds of bone cracking. It's intense how visceral the gunplay is in this game. It might be some of the best third-person gunplay in gaming. Now that Gat is free, it's time to start making moves. The Saints set up shop in an abandoned underground hotel and recruit fresh meat to the gang. This is where you meet the new lieutenants. No more Troy, Dex, or Lynn. Instead, you'll be working with Carlos, the local stoner Shondi, who has connections all over the city, and Pierce, the punching bag of the group, who is consistently having his thunder stolen by being one step behind Shondi at all times. Like before, each one is in charge of taking down a gang. Shondi leads the charge against the Sons of Samedi, an organization that cornered the drug market with potent strains of marijuana called Loidus. The man, only known as the General, runs the gang on Hammurabi's law, an eye for an eye. While he is threatening enough, his right-hand man, Mr. Sunshine, has far from a glowing personality. They have been able to monopolize the drug trade using the influence of radio DJ Veteran Child. He is the leaky pipe in the organization and has a terrible habit of running his mouth when he smokes. Carlos's initiation to the Saints is to get info on the Brotherhood, a brutal organization that makes its way by extorting businesses and bullying them into paying protection money. Carlos is very green when it comes to being in a gang, let alone being a lieutenant. The boss takes him under his wing and tries to guide him like a little brother. Part of the reason is because you owe your freedom to Carlos, but I also think it has to do with the boss seeing potential in him. The boss sees the Brotherhood as his trial by fire, and it's difficult to say the least. Marrow is their leader, a colossal beast of a man who you likely wouldn't want to cross unless you had a death wish. He routinely picks people up by the neck with one hand. He could be a gang of his own, however he trusts his girlfriend Jessica to be the ice to his fire. He also has Matt, the guitarist for the metal band Feed Dogs, on the payroll as his own personal tattoo artist. Lastly, we see a familiar face in the gang. There's Donnie, the West Side Rollers mechanic who disappeared after Lynn was outed for spying on the Rollers for the Saints. In spite of that, Donnie still holds a candle for Lynn. Unfortunately for him, this makes him predictable, something the Saints use to their advantage. The Brotherhood and the Saints share no love like any other gang, but Marrow and the boss take their beef personally. After you get back to town, Marrow meets with you to talk business. When he offers to split Stillwater with you 80-20, you take it as an affront. The two try to dismantle each other and destroy the people they care about. It's a rough storyline where it feels like they are trying to one-up how much they can inflict pain on the other person without directly killing each other. Lastly, Gat is in charge of taking down the Ronin, a motorcycle gang led by the cocky son of Yakuza member Kazuo Akuji, Shogo. Shogo and his lieutenant Junshi left Japan to expand the Ronin into America. Unfortunately for Kazuo, his son is a massive disappointment, too immature to run things efficiently. To me, this story arc is where Gat became a fan-favorite character because he is equal parts badass and shows emotional depth compared to how he was depicted in the first game. Since Aisha is still in hiding after faking her own death in the first game, Gat operates out of her house to protect her and be with her. This takes a turn after the Ronin discover where Gat is living. At this point, the Saints have been pummeling the Ronin and derailing their streams of income. Junshi takes it upon himself to get payback because Shogo is incapable of running with an iron fist needed to demand respect. During the confrontation of Aisha to get info on the Saints, Gat returns home from the store. When she calls out to warn him, Junshi kills her with a single swing of his katana. During this emotionally charged showdown, Gat gets stabbed through with the same katana and still manages to win his fight against Junshi. However, it leaves him bleeding out, needing serious medical attention, and calling to Aisha that he is on his way to see her. Saints Row 2 gets very serious and gritty. In the first game, you are part of a gang on the rise, but in this game it feels like you have a chip on your shoulder, like you have to prove to everyone that 5 years away did nothing to soften you. Instead, it molded you into steel. You're taking back the city, and you don't care who you have to kill to get it, and if you're in the way, the Saints are going to make it hurt. The things you do to torture and kill people in this game can be grotesque. After Aisha is killed, Gat has a funeral for her. The ceremony is cut short by the Ronin arriving. Gat calmly tells them that they'll settle this later. Just let Aisha have a proper burial. Showing up goes much further than just flexing muscle. Shogo, being the prick he is, can't leave without starting a fight. After you take him down, Johnny unloads on him, releasing his rage upon this guy who contributed to his girlfriend's early demise. After punching him through a tombstone, Gat buries him alive. Like I said earlier, the Brotherhood storyline is even more vicious. Marrow kidnaps Carlos and drags him by chain behind his truck. By the time you can stop and get over to him, there's nothing left to do. Carlos is so badly injured, the boss takes him out of his misery. This is the moment from Saints Row 2 that stuck out to me the most. When I think about Saints Row 2's tone and how cold it can be, I see the boss and Carlos's final embrace. These moments are when Saints Row takes a break from being a power trip to putting into perspective how rough this life is for the Saints. As high as the highs can be, the lows get lower and lower as momentum starts swinging the other way. Once all the gangs are out of the way, the true villains of Stillwater are revealed. Dane Vogel and Ultor start saying the quiet part out loud, taking Alderman Hugh's plan to extreme levels.
This is Shivington. Once a pristine set of tenement homes, this neighborhood has devolved into a dangerous ghetto filled with undesirables such as these. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, ugly buildings, unwashed masses, what the hell is Ultor thinking? My friends, we are thinking about the future. Picture this, glass towers, clean streets, and no one below the poverty line trying to wash your car. Impossible? For a lesser company, maybe. Now, I'm not here to make idle promises or vague predictions. No offense to all of you politicians out there. No, I'm here to show you how we're going to do it. Now, obviously, before we can remodel Shivington, we need to own the land. So how do we do that? By directing the gangs towards Sunnyvale. Not only are we lowering the number of our detractors, we are lowering the property value as well, which means when we buy the land, the savings get passed on to you, the stockholders.
From the earliest points of the game, Ultor is a fixture in Stillwater culture. They own every major building, have a clothing line, and even purchase the Generation X radio station when you take out Veteran Child. They swallow up everything, and start to feel like they call all the shots. Because they do. They have been quietly funding the Brotherhood in order to inflict as much chaos as possible on Stillwater in order to make the case for over-policing and cleansing the area of the poor to pave the way for Saints Row's revival as a white, gentrified district. The Saints might claim to run the city, but it will never truly be theirs until Ultor is dealt with, and that means treating Ultor like any other gang. The Saints hatch a plan to go into the secret underground lab, the Pyramid, where Ultor conducts experiments and works on international weaponry. When you finally come face to face with Dane Vogel after flying a chopper into his office, he tries to talk his way out of imminent doom, before getting blasted out his penthouse level window.
Believe me, right now I am agreeing with you 100%, but you have to look at the positives. You're alive, they're dead, and you have the Saints' #1 fan running Ultor.
With the city firmly under the Saints' control, a familiar name shows up on your phone. Dex tells you to meet him at the old church and you can discuss where Julius is. But when you get there, Julius has also been duped, putting the both of you face to face for the first time since the explosion on the boat. The both of you have it out, and Julius explains why he set you up in the first place. The Saints were supposed to save Stillwater from gang activity, not monopolize it. All the violence was supposed to finish off the gang wars once and for all, the ends justifying the means. And that's why he wanted to tear it all down. Unsatisfied with the answer, you do the only thing you know to do. You kill Julius, settling the score as best as you know how. In my opinion, Saints Row 2 is the peak of the series in terms of being a complete game, balancing the goofs and the serious tone of the story. It built on the solid foundation of the first game, and as Volition's ideas grew, so did Stillwater. As a story, missions punch hard and you feel every loss the boss and Gat takes. As a game, the mechanics keep up with the punchy and potent gameplay and great missions that keep things fresh and fun. It's a hell of a time. Thanks so much for making it this far in the video. If you liked it, hit the like button, and for more videos like this, consider subscribing. Have you played Saints Row? Which game is your favorite of all of them? Let me know in the comments. If you want to help the channel continue to grow, send this video to someone who would appreciate it, or head to the Patreon link in the description. For $1 a month, you can directly support the channel and get early access to every video, as well as some extra perks. Lastly, I want to take a minute and thank my higher tier patrons, Okayla, Just Jessica, 8-Bit Jesus, Andrew Elmore, Andrew Lang, Andrew Donahoe, and Kudahori. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.